This lesson is about customary capacity. Our key word for this lesson is capacity, and capacity is the amount of liquid a container can hold. Customary capacity refers to our custom of measurement. When we measure liquid, we use gallons, quarts, pints, cups, and fluid ounces. The more liquid a container holds, the larger the unit of measure that should be used. For example, we've got a very large swimming pool, and in order to measure the amount of water in this pool, we would be using gallons. Gallons is our largest unit. Whereas if we were talking about a small glass of water, this is a small amount, and we would be using fluid ounces, or possibly cup. We can convert from one unit to another, and there's several different ways that you can do that. The first way I'm going to show you is using multiplication or division. We can convert from a large unit to a small unit by multiplying, but you have to know how many of those smaller units are in the larger unit. So if I have 1 gallon, there are 4 quarts in 1 gallon, and that's what this picture down here is showing us. 4 quarts is equal to 1 gallon. So 1 gallon is 4 quarts. So now I can say, okay, well, 1 gallon times 4 gives me my 4 quarts. If I have 2 gallons, I know that there are 4 quarts in 1 gallon, so I'm going to multiply by 4, so that would get me my answer of 8. Using that same process, I ask myself, how many of these quarts are in a gallon? And there are 4. So I'm going to multiply by 4. 5 gallons times 4 quarts, that would give me 20 quarts is equivalent to 5 gallons. All right, if I wanted to convert from a small unit to a large unit, I'm still going to ask myself that same question. How many of the smaller units are in the larger unit? So this picture here shows me ounces. That's my small unit. So how many fluid ounces are in 1 cup? And there are 8 fluid ounces in 1 cup. So that's my magic number. That's what I'm going to divide by. I'm going to be dividing by 8. So 16 divided by 8 would give me 2 cups. If I have 72 fluid ounces, I'm going to divide by 8. That's my magic number, and that would give me 9 cups. All right, if sometimes it's really hard to remember, do I multiply, do I divide? Here are a couple of visuals that you can use to help yourself figure these answers out really easily. The first one is called our gallon guy, just what it says. He is a gallon, and all of his limbs are the different smaller units that are in a gallon. So we can see that there are 4 quarts in a gallon, and there are 8 pints in a gallon, and there are 16 cups in a gallon. The other strategy, another visual that you can use, and this one is really my favorite, this one is called the Big G. And my Big G is standing for the biggest unit, which is the gallon. And as we move inside that G, we start putting in the smaller units of capacity. So there are 4 quarts in a gallon, there are 8 pints in a gallon, there are 16 cups in a gallon, and the only one that's not listed on here is the 8 fluid ounces. There are 8 fluid ounces in each cup. So you could put little 8s inside each of those C's if you wanted to. All right, now in the practice section of your guided practice sheet, I want you to see if you can convert some of these units. Now there are 3 ways that you can do this. You can use multiplying and dividing, and if you choose to use that way, you have to ask yourself, how many of the smaller units are in the larger unit? And then this is the magic number. This is what you would multiply or divide by. And then If you don't want to use that way, you can rewind this video, you can use the gallon guide, you can use the Big G. Write those on your paper too. Those would be very useful tools for you. So if you would pause your video and see how you can do making these conversion of these units. All right, here we go, boys and girls. Let's check these answers. All right, so if you wanted to use the multiplying and dividing, you have to ask yourself how many of the smaller units are in one of the larger units. Now, I've got my gallon guy sitting right here next to me as I'm recording this, so to help me out. That's what I do. I like to see things. All right, so if I look at the first one, I'm going to ask myself, how many pints are in 1 gallon? So I can see that there are 8 pints in 1 gallon, so that's what I'm going to multiply by. So 4 times 8 would give me 32 pints. Going to the next one, how many cups are in 1 quart? So if I refer over to my Big G or to my gallon guy, in 1 quart there are 4 cups, so that's what I'm going to multiply by. So 2 times 4 would be 8. There would be 8 cups in 2 quarts. And my third one, my smaller unit, how many ounces are in 1 cup? Well, there are 8 ounces, so that's what I'm going to multiply by. So 8 times 8, this would be 64. I do the same thing on the other side, but this time I'm going to ask myself how many of the smaller units are in one of the larger, and then the only difference is I'm going to divide. So pints is smaller, so I ask myself how many pints are in 1 quart? Well, there are 2 pints in 1 quart, so that's what I'm going to divide by. So 8 divided by 2 is 4. So 8 pints would be equivalent to 4 quarts. Okay, how many ounces, this one's a little trickier, how many fluid ounces are in 1 pint? So I know that there are 16, I look at my picture and there are 16, so that's the number that I would divide by. So 56 fluid ounces is going to be 3, and there's 8 left over, 8/16, so that would be 3.5. That one was a little tricky. My last one, how many quarts are in 1 gallon? And there are 4 quarts, so that's the number that I would divide by. 16 divided by 4 is 4. All right, now on your guided practice sheet, the last thing, of course, that we do is we write a short summary about capacity and converting units, and then write down any questions that you may have to be discussed in class tomorrow. I hope you have a great evening, and I look forward to seeing each and every one of you tomorrow. Bye-bye for now.